John, I've spoken to a number of Star Trek people, famous people. You are my first god.
And may you keep it that way.
I don't think that I can top it, honestly. So we are here to talk about FanFairSignatures.com, which is a really great experience that you guys have created to connect fans with their favorite talents, like John. And I think it's wonderful, John, that you and your son Owen are working together on FanFair Signatures. I imagine this is what Q would have wanted with Q Jr. on Voyager, but it happened with your other son in real life.
Well, and you know what? You might not know this, but Owen was the Q that did the world tour. So he and I opened the world tour in, was it Berlin? Oh, Bonn, a number of years ago. And Jonathan Frakes and I we shot the promo and what have you with Owen at Paramount. And it's the classic story. You know, older actors say, you know, I don't work on stage with monkeys or children or dogs or pets, because the audience's attention goes immediately to that. So here are Jonathan and me, and Owen is here, and we're both acting up a storm, and Owen is just smiling and what have you. And we watched it and we went, oh my God. Your eye only goes to Owen, the little kid.
A star is born.
A star.
Right. Well, let's explain what FanFair Signatures is. I think it's very, very cool. Essentially, and both of you please elaborate further, these are unique pieces of art for sale on the website, fanfairsignatures.com, of Star Trek characters like Q, Riker, Quark, and it's personally signed for the fan with a customized digital message.
Yeah, so we like to use the term virtual. So basically what we have invented is a way for all of the actors, all the cast to sign virtually a personalized message as well as their virtual autograph using the FanFair app. What it means is that it's kind of lowered the barrier of entry for a lot of fans. A lot of fans who can't typically travel or for whatever reason, they're not able to go to in-person events. So we came up with a method where they can still get those, that connection to their favorite cast member, but they can do it virtually. And for the actors as well. I mean, it means that they can kind of do this from anywhere. They can facilitate these requests to their fans from almost anywhere without having to go to the post office or do any of that kind of old school stuff. So.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm leaving for Japan tomorrow morning, and I see that I have, in the last couple of days, I have 12 signatures to do. So I will try to do them.
Yeah, you got to get those done.
Right now, but I could do them. I can do them at the airport. I can do them. Do you want me to show you how it's done?
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to see a demonstration.
Okay.
Impromptu demo. Here we go.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you can see here.
Well, yeah, you have a tablet there, right?
I have a tablet. So I hit it. So in comes the first one, and it's a screen.
Oh, we can't see what you are reading there, but basically it gives my dad all the information about that fan. So fans can come in and say, you know, what it is they want to tell my dad or any of the other actors, you know, maybe give some context to why they're ordering this. A lot of people are ordering it as gifts. You know, it's a great personalized gift idea. And so somebody will say, oh, our uncle is turning 50. He's a huge fan, or whatever the thing might be. And then that way my dad knows exactly who it's for. He's seeing the name, he's seeing the context. And then as you can see here, he can just write directly to them.
Right. And this is Chase. She wants me to write, see you out there. And then, which I just wrote while you guys were talking. And then I sign it. Okay. And then I hit approve. And it goes off.
And then it comes back to us. So now it'll come back to our one of our facilities where we have a whole print manufacturing system. And then that bespoke one of a kind piece is produced for that fan and Chase will be getting a notification right now, actually, that my dad just completed the signature and his personalization, and it'll go out into the production and then shipping almost immediately within 24 hours. So it's really kind of an on-demand kind of feature that allows people to start to use these kind of personalized and autographed memorabilia pieces as something that could be, as I said, giftable or just in the moment, right? It's not something you're going to have to wait. Oh, well, my local convention doesn't come up again until next, summer. So I'm going to have to wait around. You don't have to do that anymore. Everything is sort of an on-demand request now. So
that's amazing. It's Owen. So you created FanFairSignatures.com. You're kind of like the Gene Roddenberry of this platform, so to speak.
I guess so. I shouldn't take all the credit. A lot of the credit goes to my.
Here's another. It was for Brian. The trial never ends, so I did that, and then so there it is. So I got two of these done while you guys were talking. So.
That's right. That's how easy it is.
Is the trial never ends your most popular request?
Well, here's one.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah. Danielle wants change the gravitational constant of the universe. So, so each one is a little different. And obviously my signature each time I sign it is a little different. And so, yeah, they're very much personalized.
Yeah. So, and absolutely. And my dad is totally right. That's why we use the word virtual instead of digital. Because really he is, as you can see, he's virtually signing it. He's doing it by hand every time. Every one of our celebrities on platform is doing it by hand every time, so that people know, it's really an authentic thing. In terms of the idea behind it, as I said, I can't take all the credit. My partner, Emily, she and I kind of came up with this idea basically during the pandemic. As you had heard in the interview you saw from the 7th, I'm the tech person for my dad. So I was running his website, and a lot of people, because all the conventions were shutting down, were saying, oh, please, can I send something by mail to you? And then you can send it back to me. And it was too complicated. And the post offices frankly were closed, so it wasn't possible. And so I'm writing back going like, I'm so sorry. We don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully things will turn back on soon. And it just kind of clicked in my head because my partner and I already had a business doing print design and manufacturing, mostly, architectural type stuff for, all sorts of things, government agencies, airports, hotel chains, things like that. Anytime you see something, whether it's a wall mural or art that goes up into a hotel or something, like that's the kind of thing we were doing. So we had quite a robust system for that. And internally, we are designers. So we were doing all the designing as well. And so we use a lot of the technology my dad just used, that, tablet, drawing pencil, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, maybe there is a way to do this. So we kind of, I went to my dad. I said, hey, here's a thought. Maybe we can facilitate this to your fans. And we basically just set it up like that as a MVP model, very, very basic at the beginning. Just got him onto his iPad and got set up with the same software we were using.
I have to interject. As the good dad that I am, after Owen gave me the idea, I went, oh, nobody's interested. No, that won't work. No, so he thankfully, he kind of kept on going, I think it will, Dad. I think it will. I went, well, I don't know. Why don't you show me? And so after about 2 months or so, he came back and he said, by the way, I opened up a website for you and you have, I don't know.
Dozens of orders. Yeah, lots of people making requests.
And I went, oh, okay. So
that was sort of that's the genesis moment, so to speak. And then from that point, my partner and I started to work, with the help of my dad, we went to some of the other cast, and then that ballooned into getting a license with CBS, and we started producing artwork that was, with the Star Trek sort of IP. And we really wanted to make something different. I grew up around all of this stuff, of course. And so for me, when we actually were, released to okay, we're doing this, CBS said, yes, we can start creating real Star Trek art. I wanted to do something different there than the typical floating heads in a space background. Mm-hmm. And so I think as people go on the site and peruse through some of the artwork, they'll notice it's definitely different. which I'm really happy about. It's like exclusive to our platform, that type of Star Trek art. And it's really, I think people are really appreciating it. And so we've been having a lot of fun with that. And we grew from there. And then it really just kind of took off. We realized this is now kind of the business, a bit of a startup inside a startup. But you know, since then we've been going strong. It's been about a year and a half, 2 years. And we're moving into all sorts of different fields. It's not just Star Trek. You know, we've got all of film and television, music, the sports field is huge right now for us, and starting to, you know, branch into that. And you know, we're going to be going to the Super Bowl on an invite from one of our most recent partners, being the NFL. So I think there's definitely a potential here. I think there's a potential to. I don't like to use the word disrupt as much as just sort of revolutionize or make easier, lower the barrier of entry for memorabilia pieces. It's sort of odd that it hasn't happened yet. And I think it's a long time coming. You know, the technology is definitely here for it, and we've built it. And I suspect that there's a lot of people who, you know, outside of the intense collector, who just want to connect with their celebrity, you know, legend favorites. And I think this is the way to make that really simple for people, for all parties concerned.
Yeah, and you get a lot of, I mean, you've shared with me emails when people get you know what it is, which can be small, but also can be quite large, framed, glassed, matted, on and on, saying, you know, I live in a part of the world that makes it almost impossible for me to go to a convention. Also, or I live in a part of the world where there are conventions, but I just don't want to spend the money of the hotel room and the airfare and on and on and on. And yet I still really like Nana or Armin Shimmerman or Brent, or I still like that. And I'd love to be able to get something. And so this has found a niche of people that want to be included and are now included.
Yeah. And I would add to that too, people who are physically, for whatever reason, unable to travel, which actually, you know, a lot of people in our society, unfortunately, they don't have the ability to do that. And so they're sort of left out of that experience, and we're kind of building a way for them to engage still. So.
Well, I really applaud the dedication both of you are showing to the fans to create something unique and personal and cutting edge, bespoke, you know, directly for them. Now it's already a pretty impressive list of Star Trek actors, and as you said, you're expanding outward. Do you have a wish list of people?
Sure. I mean, you know, I say that there's really nobody that can't be on FanFair. I mean, anybody with a strong following, a strong fan following. You know, I think that this is a tool for people who have that kind of following, whether you're an actor, a musician, or an athlete. And it's a tool to just it's a tool for them to use. It's not really as much our product as it is their product, right? We are just the platform that facilitates all of this being so much simpler than what it used to be. And so, yeah, I mean, wish list, sure. We have all sorts of wish lists that we could put together. I think that the sort of you know, in the vein of Star Trek, sort of the Comic-Con-y type, you know, industries, you know, whether that be Star Trek or, you know, Walking Dead, or even like things like The Office, which has a huge following. Those ones are very clear and obvious. But I think that there's a lot of people out there that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Like we have Bill Nye, the science guy, on the platform. You know, where do you put him? What category is he? He's not an athlete. He's not an actor. He's sort of a public figure, but he's hugely popular and a big, especially for people in my generation, somebody who, you know, you kind of grew up watching, right, in school or wherever. So there's kind of no limit to who could be on the platform. Obviously, there's certain people we probably wouldn't sign up. We're staying away from politics for the time being. We're staying away from certain areas, but for the most part, it could be anybody.
That's awesome. John, if we could talk a little Star Trek, you are, of course, beloved as Q. You're one of the most popular and enduring characters in Star Trek. And what's remarkable also is that you've done it all in 22 episodes. That's a lot of bang Star Trek got out of you for the buck. And Q never stopped being relevant. We still want to see him today. So how is returning as Q in Picard season 2 and 3? Were you able to slip back into the role and recapture your omnipotence so easily, or was it a challenge to recapture Q?
Well, as Owen knows, I practice my omnipotence at home all the time.
Oh, yeah.
People used to ask me, when they would see me in that judge's outfit, they would say, "Oh my gosh, where did you get that outfit? That's such a great outfit." I said, "Oh, it's just something I brought from home. It's how with the kids." Yeah, it was not difficult to slip back into it. I play the character pretty close to the vest, and it's really about putting my attention, in the case of Picard, putting my attention on Patrick or on Picard, and off we go. Off we go. And you're right. Until Picard, I think I had only done 9 episodes of anything having Star Trek. So I'm not even sure where the other 22. What you're counting as 22.
Well, there was the episodes of Picard season 2, one episode of Picard season 3. You appeared on Lower Decks very briefly as Q. So I think that's kind of what adds to
that. Adds to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to say, I mean, having only really clued into all of this stuff since starting this project, just being online and seeing all the commentary and everything else, I do have to say, obviously I have a bias, but my dad's character was one of the most beloved characters. I think because it just brings so much interest and there's so much mystery behind it that people are craving more of the information that the sort of Q character could bring to the universe as a whole, right? And I think from people making comments like why have they never done a Q spinoff, to any of those things, I tend to agree. Kind of like Q can be the glue that kind of connects all the dots in almost the entire Star Trek series. So it's definitely one of the more popular characters for that reason, I think. Yeah, you should tell your story about Gene being in the elevator with Gene and that first and just what you were getting yourself into.
It was a couple of days after we began shooting Encounter at Farpoint, and the first day of a shoot. This is before digital, when it was film. You would shoot it, and then it would go to be developed, and it would usually take a day. And then the third day is when the producers would sit. So let's say that you shot on Monday, it would be Wednesday then that they would begin seeing what you had done. And so let's call it that Wednesday after I started shooting on Monday, a voice behind me says, "Oh, you have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." And I turned around and it was Gene. And I'll always remember this because I said, "What are you talking about, Gene? What do you mean?" I mean, I took it as sort of a compliment, but I knew that there was something more there. And he said, "Oh, you will see. You will see." And for 37 years, I have been seeing. And it's quite extraordinary. I mean, I'm writing a show now that has, I'm bringing in all sorts of musicians and what have you. And I'm realizing I'm doing this and they want me to do it because of this role that I played 37 years ago. I also watched the show of late. I hadn't seen the show in a very long time. And I think you asked, what is it that made some of this character popular? I also think I brought an energy that was not generally in the show unless I was there, kind of a manic, very fragmented energy, which when I saw it just recently, I went, oh wow. Ooh, okay, I get it. And so I think that was also helpful.
Yes, you brought an unpredictability to the show and a sense of humor that really wasn't there unless you came in and kind of shook things up, which is
Right.
really why, it was always so much fun to see Q.
Right. Which was not intended to be on the first one. Corey Allen, who was the director for the first one, I started doing a little winks and nods in that encounter at Farpoint. He was like, no, this has to be very serious. And I kept on saying, look, that's sort of one note. And so we didn't have real disagreements, but he wanted it more serious, and I already wanted it a little more whimsical.
I would love to hear a little bit about your most recent appearance at the end of Star Trek Picard season 3. You came in and you had that scene with Ed Spaliers as Jack Crusher. What was that like for you to be back on set after you died? I mean, and suddenly you're back as Q would be.
Well, I wasn't happy about the dying part because I just kept on saying, this is Star Trek. Star Trek deals with big issues. If you're going to have me die, which is fine, we need to delve into that. And quite frankly, death is perhaps the biggest human issue that there is. We need to delve into it. And they didn't delve into it. And so I thought of it as being somewhat of a lost opportunity. And I made myself clear to Terry. I just said, I don't know. It just doesn't rest well with me. I feel that the audience, and we're not, we're doing this for them. I feel that the audience will come and say, I don't understand. You're immortal. There's a disconnect here. What's going on? We need to answer some of these questions. So on the last episode, on the last scene that I had with Patrick, that was the two of us sitting in a chair with each other, and I say to him, you matter to me. At the end of that, we started the scene, and there were 3 or 4 cameras, or maybe 3 cameras, and with the attendant crew. So let's say that there were 12 people in that kind of dark spot over there, where the cameras were, and it was Patrick and I here. When we finished that scene, maybe let's call it 40 minutes later, the room had filled. And which was really, and so when we finish and he goes, all right, that's a wrap, there was a big applause. And it was surprising because you couldn't see into that darkness. And a number of people from the other sets and had come down because they knew that in a way this was the beginning and the end, the last one. And Patrick made a little speech, I made a little speech. And Terry came up to me and he said, I have figured out a way for you to come back. And I said, oh, thank you. Thank you. And so that was the scene. And I love the fact that it was done during the crawl. And I loved the fact that, they see, and it's a wonderful episode. It really wrapped up TNG. It really was terrific and stuff like that. And I could just imagine people at home going, oh, wow, that's great. And they're talking. And one person in the room is sort of watching the crawl. And then all of a sudden go, oh, wait, look at that. And I'm told at the screening of in Hollywood, when that took place, the audience went, yay!
I was there.
Yeah. Oh, you were? Oh, cool. I wish I had been there. So it was, so it worked out. It worked out.
That's awesome. And, I also love Q and Janeway together and your chemistry with Kate Mulgrew. That's something I wish the current shows would revive.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, it's in the hands of the gods and not this God. So,
well, anything is possible. who knows what could happen in the future. So going back to FanFair Signatures, just to wrap this all up, I think it's really fitting that it all started with you, John, you, Owen, because, the personalized art people can order from you guys can be as enduring as Q. They make beautiful holiday gifts for yourself, your loved ones. They're really great. And thank you guys so much for speaking with me. This is a real pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.